This is a new day. This is a new day full of sound and light, even in the cloudy sky, and expectation. This day has been waiting for you. This day has been waiting especially for you, to embrace you, to guide you. This day has been waiting with open arms just for you. This is the day we have been given. Let's not waste it. Come now and let us worship together. Please rise and body your spirit for our first hymn, which is in your gray hymnal. It is hymn number 39, Bring, O Morn, Thy Music.
Thy starlit silence, oceans laugh raptured to the storm winds coursing free. Suns and planets chorus praise to Thee most holy, who was and is and evermore shall be. Life and death thy creatures praise the mighty giver. Praise and prayer are rising in thy beast and bird and tree. Lo, they praise and vanish at thy bidding, who was and is and evermore shall be. Life nor death can part us, O thou love eternal, shepherd of the wandering star and souls that wayward flee. Homeward draws the spirit, to thy spirit yearning, who was and is and evermore shall be.
What a great way to start a morning. Good morning, everyone. How are you? Yeah, all right. We're in the new year. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So we have a lot of different announcements this morning. We need some help taking down the wreaths, if you noticed. We still have Christmas decorations from Christmas. So if you're able to help out afterward and remove the wreaths, that would be very helpful. Love. That's the theme for February. And we would love to get your perspective. So you're welcome to join me in brainstorming on this worship theme of love in Schweitzer Lounge at 12:30 p.m. It's open to everyone. Just what is love to you? What is love for our community? What is love for our world? What is love? So join me, Schweitzer Lounge, 12:30 p.m. You can have time to get coffee and snacks and talk with each other, and join me for that. And we are looking for sex-positive, sexual education teachers. We're going to do Our Whole Lives, acronym OWL, for 7th and 8th graders. This is a very powerful program, very helpful. I've gone through it myself. And Kathleen Hogue, in partnership with the Meanville congregation, wants to offer it here in Youngstown. And we're looking for one facilitator. And I think it's a very short time frame, Monday, right? So we would need someone who could do the training starting Monday. Yep.
The training is booked up already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we can't get anybody trying to write this out.
Okay, thank you, Kathleen. So no new trainers. But if you have children, if you have anyone who's 13, 14, who would like to be part of this program, please let Kathleen Hogue know, because we'd like to offer it. And it's,
You're secretly trained as an AL facilitator.
or if you're secretly trained as an AL facilitator, please let us know. And let's see, Saturday, January.
In that darkness, no star is found, and the sole sign of life seems more like the eye of Sauron, up on the tower, watching anxiously for hobbits or kings. And I'm all for making friends with enemies, but maybe just let that big fella fall. Sometimes, when the center is lost, gone, there is a peace and expanse and openness of freedom, a joy of open stability. Other times, I forget that I am the center of only my world, not anyone else's, which can be confusing and troubling, to be honest, until I remember that the center of other people's worlds is probably themselves, but probably definitely not me. But then, sometimes, with everyone being the center of their own worlds, is it mysterious and wonderful that all of us, everyone's, can be simultaneously separate, but also together and touching and being our own centers, but connected and touching all these other centers. So then, what's the center of that? And somewhat similarly, sometimes, I think about the lack of limits in space, infinite space, timeless existence. In timeless infinity, what is the center of that? And the thought of all that seeming center-free, endless openness makes me happy. But if sometime I'm talking with you and I seem like a deer ready to bolt, no matter how nice you are, don't take it personal. It's just me feeling like a loosely tethered balloon in a tightly wound storm, looking for a foothold and forgetting that the real center is where our worlds meet. Little wax on there.
It happens.
Maybe I'll just use a match. Plan B.
That really spoke to me this morning. Thank you. Who would like to help me with the story? Come on, Nora. This is a brand new book, and it was written by Reese Witherspoon. Everybody know who that is? They say she's a best-selling author. So I never heard of it. So this is called Busy Betty. And it's really a story about me, so it should be called Busy Kathleen. Hi, hello, howdy, I'm Betty. I like doing things and making things and playing all day long. Sweet cinnamon biscuits, I love being busy. My big brother, Bo, says I've always been busy. Even when I was a baby, turns out I was born busy. My mom says, slow down, Betty, you have to focus to finish. Rome wasn't built in a day, busy Betty. My dad says, hold your horses. Horses! We don't have any horses. But we do have the most fabulous, fantastic dog in the entire universe. Whoa, Frank, you stink. What have you been rolling in? You're making my eyes water and my nose itch. My tippity-top numero uno best friend May is coming soon, and I can't have a smelly dog at our play date. I need to get busy and give you a bath. When my mom and I go to the pet store, I watch all the dogs get washed and brushed 100 million times, so I'm basically a professional dog washer anyway. First things first, I need a bathtub. Go ahead. A pool is like a bathtub for outside. Betty, you can't wash a dog without soap, says Bo. I guess Bo is right. Well, I don't have soap, but I do have bubbles. I love blowing bubbles, big, bouncy, beautiful bubbles. I could blow 100 billion bubbles a day. Wait, I have to focus to finish. Okay, Frank, jump through the hula hoop, and the bubbles will get you squeaky clean. Bouncing biscuits, how could I forget? Frank never does tricks without a treat like popcorn. Frank will do almost anything for popcorn, and come to think of it, I'm kind of hungry. One for me, one for you, two for me, two for you. Betty, my dad calls. May is on her way over. Uh-oh, we're getting messier and messier. If you can't clean it, cover it. A candy necklace for me and a bow tie for Frank. Now, hold still, Frank, and don't knock over the glitter. Wait, Frank, come back. Busted biscuits, I've made a mess. My mom will see this big mess and she'll make me clean this big mess, and I won't get to play because of this humongous, enormous, colossal big mess. Oh no, my play date is ruined. May will be here any minute and she'll think this is amazing. Wow, Betty, look what you made. Wow, what? What did I make? I asked May. You made a dog wash for Frank. What if we sold tickets to wash all the dogs on the block? I love May's idea. Time to get busy. When we pull our ideas, we can do anything. No time to hold our horses. We've got to hold our hoses. Together we will slide to success. Betty, May says, we created a bubble-blowing, dog-running, squeaky clean, canine scrubbing business. With my busy brain and May's perfect plan, we made a real-life dog washing business. Sweet cinnamon biscuits, we did it. Being busy is a great way to be. Right, Frank? And this is how I felt this morning, so it's really hard to find your center when you're busy. All the kids can join us for class. We're going to go out that door.
Please join me in reciting our covenant, which is found in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
The giveaway the plate. Our church is completely supported by pledge income from members and friends like you. If you wish to make an offering to us, please designate on your check or envelope it is for UUYO. Each month we donate all loose cash and unmarked checks put in the offering plate to a nonprofit organization whose mission and actions are consistent with the UU principles and the mission of the UUYO. Our Give Away the Plate recipient for January is the Bummer Fund. Our seventh principle calls on us to respect the interdependent web of existence of which we are a part, including nurturing and supporting non-human beings. For January, we will honor this commitment by supporting an organization that was founded to promote responsible pet ownership and assist pet owners with care for their beloved companions. The fund assists those who have a record of providing a good home for a pet, but whose current incomes do not permit some necessary medical care for an existing pet. The fund gives priority to seniors on fixed incomes, families experiencing limited funds due to chronic illness and for whom loss of an existing pet would be harmful, and other persons the trustees shall deem appropriate. We will now receive the offering that supports the life of Youngstown, the Mahoning Valley, and our wider world.
I know some of you may have heard this already. I found out when I returned that Achilles Palumbo passed away right before the new year. And so during the meditation, let's hold Randy, who I've been in touch with, and we will do a celebration of life when Randy and family deem appropriate. But let's hold Randy and family and really all of us grieving that loss.
Today's reading is a poem called Center by Josephine Miles, Josephine Miles was a scholar, writer, academician. My guess is that this selection was chosen because I can see some relevance, I would guess that's why it was chosen. I could see some relevance to a congregation like this one. How did you come? How did I come here? Now it is ours. How did it come to be in so many presences? Some I know, swept from the sea, wind and sea, took up the right wave in their fins and seal suits, rowed up over the town to this shore, shining and sleek, to be caught by a tide as of music or color or shape in the heart of the sea. Was it you? Was it you who came out from the sea floor as lab into lab, weightless, each breath bubbling to surface, swaying in currents of kelp plants? Came in your cars, freewayed in valleys millions of miles from the shore, to converge where the highways converge, saying, welcome to here, and to where? To tape and percussion, raga computers, rare texts and components of clay. With the sea down away past the freeways and out of the town to the block-busting towers of learning and quiet shades of administering redwood. Azure dome over all like a bellflower, and star above star. Did you come out of borderlands dear to the south, speaking a language Riveran, Nerudan, and saying, aquí está un hombre, my first lesson. And come as Quixote, the man of romance in its new century, tilting at windmill giants of concrete, slim lance at the ready. Woe unto them that join house to house, that lay field to field, till there be no place that they may be alone in the midst of the earth. Did you come with a handful of questions, leaping like jewels, to shock answers, to start sparks of inquiry into the evening air? I came as a kid from the Midwest all recognize as part of home, to this another which the salt sea answered in its time and Vizcaíno mapped his ports upon. You came as concertmaster of the Philharmonic, as mayor of Del Mar, as reader of magnetic messages in DNA, as archivist for the Times Poetry or PTA, as land-grant scholar holding his gray moon rocks. What is this that we come to? Its walls and corridors gaping in space, its north lights seeking the north, its substance concrete brushed by the grains of its boards reaching extension in all of their lengths in architectural solidity. It is a break in the galaxies of our imagination. It needs our lives to make it live. A building, a dark hole in space, compact of matter, draws into it buzzing disinterests, ideologies. Incomplete being enters into the dense room, emerges another, further, compact of matter. This is the place that we enter. It paints pictures here and plays drums. It turns us around and we emerge out of old space into the universe. This building, between buildings as between galaxies, between fields as between flights of fancy, will reshape our ears and turn us, our work of art beating in the breast like a heart. What are we here for? To err, to fail, and attempt as terribly as possible to try stunts of such magnitude, they will lead to disasters of such magnitude, they will lead to learnings of such magnitude, they will lend back in enterprise to substance and grace. What learning allows for is the making of error without fatality. The wandering off, the aberration, distortion, and deviation by which to find again the steady center and moving center. What art allows for is the provisional enactments of such learning in their forms of color and line, of mass and energy, of sound and sense, which bulk disaster large, create evil to look it in the eye, to forge villainies of the wars, to indispose villainies of petty establishment, to make them lead their lives in sound and sense to no good end, that we may see them so. To make mistakes, all of our own mistakes, out of the huddle of possibilities, into a color and form which will upbraid them beyond their being. Give us to err grandly as possible in this complete complex of structure. Risk a soul nobly in north light, in cello tone, in action of drastic abandonment, that we return to what we have abandoned and make it whole. Domesticate the brushed cement and wood marquee, fracture the corridors, soften the lights of observation, and renew structural kindness into its gentler shapes. Out of the sea, the kelp tangles. Out of the south, the cities crowd. Out of the sky, the galaxies emerge in isolation one from another. And the faces here look one to another in surprise at what has been made. Look at the actual cliffs and canyons of this place, people and programs, mass and energy of fact. Look at the possibilities irradiating all these possibilities. Praise, then, the arts of law and science as of life, the arts of sound and substance as of faith, which claim us here to take, as a building, as a fiction takes us, into another frame of space where we can ponder, celebrate, and reshape not only what we are, where we are from, but what in the risk and moment of our day we may become.
when traveling for the holidays, I kept thinking about the different people meeting each other in often casual and often unnoticed ways. People traveling from their homes to be in position to meet all the people they were going to meet. The person at the desk who I don't know, who I trust with my car keys. The person I never met before, who I depend on completely to help me travel across the country at the airport. The people on the plane, some traveling to see family, some I imagined traveling on solo excursions, going to beaches to take a break, reflect, get away. Because I don't like to pay more for a seat, I was in the middle. Between two people I only shared a couple words with. One who said, "That's my buckle." Or one who spoke not directly to me, but actually over me, "Can I have a Sprite?" Seemingly inconsequential. But I'm convinced none of us really knows the consequences of any interaction. I couldn't help wondering if through osmosis perhaps one of these people would go into ministry. Or perhaps I would suddenly start drinking Sprite. A mostly wordless meeting that was still a meeting. When we returned from seeing family, we went out to dinner on New Year's Eve. Those who were working on the last day of the year, being of service and doing so quite cheerfully, cracking jokes with tables. I remembered my days as a waiter and how horrible I was at it in New York City of all places. I remembered the pity from the other servers who tried to help me with my tables. It's not an easy task. When I was a waiter, very briefly, I met a cross-section of the city I lived in. Recent immigrants on green cards, people living at home, taking care of their mothers, students trying to support themselves, young, old, people from all over the world. We all ended up in the same place doing what we had to do at that moment for our various reasons. I learned two fellow waiters were also former Jehovah's Witnesses, like myself. One was 10 years younger, one was 20 years older. And I can't help but wonder, while I was there, if this was the destiny for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses to work at this exact cafe for an indeterminate number of months. It's strange for me to look back at that time with no awareness of what my life would be today. I had never heard of Youngstown, Ohio. I had no degree, no car, really no clue about anything. That has not changed, that last part. And I look back at situations that scare me now, but I was too naive to be afraid then. Do you know what I mean? I had no clue. And perhaps that was my saving grace, having no clue. I didn't know enough to be afraid. But I think all of us, regardless of age and circumstances, can be reminded that removing fear is always an option that is available to us. I learned from someone who studied various texts of world religions that one of the ways compassion can be understood is the act of removing fear. Not so much being a nice person or being sweet or whatever our expectations of compassion might be, but the act of removing fear. For some reason, I find that very helpful. I think when we first approach the theme, finding our center, there's a trap inherent in the language. Finding our center. We can trap ourselves unwittingly into assumptions that the center is mine and I have to find it. The assumption is it can be lost, that the center is only personal, that it's mine. I think it is personal. Each of us has a center of gravity that is our own. We have a certain weight on this earth, perhaps more than what we wanted as the new year begins. We have a certain head weight, posture, and I would say an attitude, which is both informed by our physical posture and informs our physical posture. All this creates a center that is quite personal in a way. And we may assume that the center stays only within our body, like a pendulum, providing balance. And that pendulum is at the mercy of many forces, gravity, and so forth. But those assumptions feel a little too precious to me. Like we have to create the right conditions for the center to arise and be in its proper place. What does it mean to be centered? I'm actually really asking. What do you think it means? To be centered? Harmony? Anyone else? What does it mean? To be well balanced? Be in touch with yourself? Not being swayed? To be unswayed by outside forces. Well, you want to go with me on a little thought experiment here? Being off-center, may do us more good than we think. Perhaps all of us, when we feel off-center, are mirroring the earth itself, which is also on a tilt. You with me? Quite off-center. This tilt is the reason we have seasons, because it allows the sun to shine on different parts of the earth at different rates. Without being off-center, without this tilt, we wouldn't have spring. We wouldn't have summer. In a true sense, if this earth was completely centered, we wouldn't be here. Plants, animals, vegetation would not survive. We would not be here talking with one another in the year 2023. I like saying that. Feels kind of impressive, doesn't it? 2023. I'm not sure if you feel that way or not. Of course, this new year has its heartaches. We know this. It has recent and remembered losses. It's full of reminders of fragility, of love, of memory. All that is also possible because of the tilt, because we exist off-center. We sometimes think that maybe it would be good to do away with fragility, with heartaches. But I think the fragility calls us, each of us naturally, to tilt even more toward each other in compassion, in understanding. It's not so much about centering ourselves to an idea of what we think our center is. It's being willing to tilt toward each other, even a little bit outside our comfort zone, so that we can discover a true center. The center that exists and thrives only in the tilt. I was born in January. So this is always a time of reflection for me, not just the new year, but another year. I think of an intention to guide me as I approach the year. And the word that came up for me this year was trust. Living with trust. Trusting the tilt. Trusting a center that is here in the tilt. The beautiful and moving thing to me about a place like this with all of you is we get to be here to remind each other of that. To remind each other that we're not alone. To remind each other there is a hidden center here, a center of love. It really doesn't require anything special of us, just that we allow our awareness to tilt a little. And I just mean a little, toward each other. We sit with each other. That's what you're doing right now. We say hello to each other. We have coffee with each other. We try to stay warm with each other, no small task sometimes. We check in on each other. This is the most simple thing we were here to do, in my opinion. So many of us, including myself, have lived at times thinking, I want to find my center so I can achieve whatever it is I want to achieve. I feel differently now. I just want to tilt. I want to go with the tilt. I want to be there with people, and I want to allow people to be there for me. I want to take up my place on this great earth, a place that is right here and always tilting, always shifting, and I want to shift with it. Experience has taught me that we usually have a snowstorm in January. For some reason, it's usually around Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. I'm not predicting, of course. We don't know what will ever happen. I try not to anticipate or overthink it too much. The weather has gone from freezing to below freezing to 60 degrees, and now settling back into a balmy freezing. It seems the climate is talking to us, asking us all to tilt in a way we've never tilted before. I think we're up for it. What do you think? We'll have to. It will tilt us until we are ready to. But in all the things that happen to us, both collectively and personally, I think we can do what we can to tilt toward one another. It's in our nature. And I don't even think it needs to be prescribed from a pulpit or anywhere. There is something in us that wants to do it and knows that it's the way. Perhaps I'm still naive, but I think that's true. I trust we want to support each other as we would like to be supported. This is within our power, all of our power. It doesn't require anything special, just an awareness that includes others in kindness. The rest flows from that. Perhaps the task at times is to imagine a center that is beyond us, that includes us, but but is beyond our personal center of gravity, that is beyond our perceived successes, beyond our perceived failures, beyond our perceived joys, beyond our perceived difficulties. A center that includes us, but is not limited to us. A love that includes us, even and especially present when we're tilted. Again, I don't think this is anything special. A smile and a cup of coffee shows me this possibility. The ability just to sit here for a little while, to reflect on how this might even be real, is enough proof to me that it's here. And even when I don't trust, which happens, there is a trust that even includes that. No tilt is too great. We get to learn here how to be a human being. That's the wonderful thing a place like this offers. And you know what? It's not an extensive course. There isn't a huge reading, there's an unlimited reading list. But you know what? It's more like watching fish slowly realize they're in water. It's kind of strange, but it's simple, organic. We get to discover our own capacity for kindness, for tenderness, for care. We don't do it to prove anything, even to ourselves. We just do it. Because what else are we going to do? What is more important than offering a simple kindness to each other that requires minimal effort? I think that awareness, which we all lose and then rediscover again, especially in a place like this, is finding our center. When we quit trying to mess with the tilt and just be kind. Are you with me? We find our center in that. When we quit trying to manage what can't be managed and just be kind, the center appears. It was here all along. All it takes is a moment. It doesn't even take a full day. I say every service, this is the day we've been offered. It doesn't even take a full day. Just a moment. When we ask ourselves, is there something I can do within my ability to be kind? We each have that ability. And that ability, even though it is different for each of us, is our greatest strength. It's what makes us human. It doesn't add anything or take anything away. It just shines a light, like our chalice, and shows us what's there. We were probably expressing it without even knowing it. We probably were expressing it without even knowing it. A natural tilt toward each other, uncovering a hidden center that exists every time we tilt. Please pray with me. Spirit of love, so grateful for the tilt. My goodness. I'm so grateful for all the life that is possible because of a simple tilt at just the right angle. I'm so glad for the opportunity to just be here with all these wonderful people who have kindness in their very being. So grateful to be alive here in Youngstown, Ohio, and to know that I'm connected to people here and throughout the valley and throughout the world. So grateful for the winter that teaches us the joy of being inside with each other a natural warmth that comes from company. All this we pray in gratitude. Amen. Please rise. In body or spirit for our closing hymn. It's also in the gray hymnal. Hymn 37 in the gray hymnal, God Who Fills the Universe.
God who fills the universe, from the atom to the stars, make firm my changeful heart, so I may do my part and bring joy to all the earth. God who webs the universe with amazing mysteries, make glad my fragile soul, so I can see life whole and bring hope to all the earth. God who keeps the universe by the truths of living love, make strong that love in me, so I can set it free and bring peace to all the earth.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts until we meet again.
As you depart, please remember the one great fact. You are loved and never truly alone.